What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the fish room tour. Today is part of the fish room series of the 43 tanks. Today's tank is number 7. Right behind me you can see is the 55-gallon aquarium. Let's turn around and take a closer look at this tank. So here we have the 55-gallon. It's getting kind of late, so I'm just sitting down in front of the tank. Figure I'd do another update. Today is tank number 7, like I said, and in here I've just added some angelfish, mollies, and platies to this tank. I also have a few zebra danios and older angelfish that have already been there. So let's just go ahead and take a closer look. I'm going to talk about the tank, what's all in it, kind of look closer at them, and I'm also going to do a quick feeding. So like I said, it's a 55-gallon tank, and I'll back up. There's a tank below it. This is a double stack black wrought iron stand I purchased. Super nice stand. Had these for maybe 6 months to a year now, and I did a video on unboxing these and building them. Super nice and easy. They're not too expensive. I built the stand in maybe a minute or two. They're super easy. They come in like 5 or 6 pieces. They're very sturdy for the materials you get. I've had 0 problems with them. But this tank is just run off a sponge filter. And I know you think that may not be enough. A lot of people have their canister filters, their overflows, a lot of additional filtration, but this gives plenty of surface agitation. The sponge filter grows a lot of bacteria, and I do every single week a large water change on all my tanks. This tank gets a very large, probably 70 to 90% water change. I'll typically go right to the sponge filter. So that way, as I'm waiting to fill the tank and I'm doing more changes, they're still getting some oxygen. There's still some bubbles going. If I go below it, I can't let this tank sit for too long because they start gasping for air. So I always go about a ½ inch above the sponge filter, whether it's a 10-gallon or a 20-gallon or a 55 in this case. So let's look closer at the fish. Right here, I just see this guy in the middle. I've been treating these. I did treat these guys, and they're healing up. They had some type of fin disease. They were still eating really well. There's nothing internal. You can see this guy's fins are a little beat up, and they're bigger, so they do kind of nip at each other. I think that was slowing them down. But this one here, you can see his fins are all healing up. It's a standard fin. It's a little bit shorter. But that fish, maybe a month ago to 2 weeks ago, its fins are very torn up. They looked kind of flailed out. Saying that wrong, but you know what I mean. I mean, the fin just didn't look right. You could tell there was something wrong with the fish, but I always treat as a last resort, especially when you're breeding fish. I try to have the strongest fish survive and breed to further make healthy fish that I can enjoy and other people can enjoy. If you have fish that's not very stable, I don't think it's a lot of fun to own, because you're always giving it medicine. It's never really thriving and eating well. These guys do that. So I'm not breeding them anymore, but these are some of the larger adults. I think I have maybe 8 of them. And then still pretty large, these other angelfish are some of their offspring. So these guys are still pretty big. Let me put my hand up so you can kind of see. They'll come up because they think they're getting fed. Like there's a large adult. These are some of the younger guys. They're probably about 6 to maybe 6 months old. These adults are maybe a year old or so, I'd say. Older than that. I'm messing up my time frame, but long story short, I got some large angelfish, and I have a lot of younger ones I added to the tank. I also added these mollies. I have some lyre tail mollies. There's the black mollies, some like Dalmatians. There's a smaller male right there, nice female. I was breeding these guys for a while. I think they always eat their babies, and some of the males have longer fins, so I'm not sure if they were actually breeding well with the females, but they look great. They're doing really well in this tank. I moved them over, and I also moved in the platies. So these are some like painted platies and some reds. They're doing pretty good in here. They were breeding, but not a whole lot. And I don't sell a lot of the platies and mollies, so to keep them and take up 2 or 3 tanks in my fish room, they weren't justifying themselves, so I decided to move them in here. to kind of the grow out / sale tank, and this tank just looks awesome. It's the first tank you really see when you walk in, straight ahead at the back of the room, and I enjoy seeing these fish, and I really enjoy feeding them. And I'll sell a few of these here and there to customers. Every once in a while I'll have a larger order from a store. I just sold about 20 adult angelfish last month, which this tank was just as full with larger ones. I sold them out, kept maybe 6 of my favorite adults, and the babies, which are not much babies anymore from that 29-gallon, are now in this tank here. So those guys are all in there. I have the angels, mollies, platies, like I said, and we'll look at the zebra danios too. I think there's maybe 5 of them in here. I actually bred and raised these, so I think I bought 20, this is kind of a cool story. I bought 20 zebra danios as feeder fish. So you know, you go in there and they're like 10, 20 cents a piece. You buy them real small and you're like, those look just like the zebra danios are selling for $1 or $3 on the other side of the fish, like the pet store. So I bought these, I grew them out, and I always wanted to breed a danio or a tetra, and I figured, I knew these were one of the easier fish to breed. They're an egg scatterer, so usually in the morning when the lights kick on, there's a nice molly right there, one of the bigger males. But the zebra danios, they'll breed in the morning, they kind of scatter their eggs on the bottom of the tank or in plants. And what I did is I separated a male and female, a nice slim male and a female that was super fat that looked like she had a bunch of eggs in her belly. And I put them in just a jar with a bunch of stones on the bottom and an air stone. They'd breed in there. I'd pull them out after a couple days, maybe a day or maybe a week, depending on if I saw any eggs. Their eggs are super tiny when they're born, or when they're laid, I guess. But I've bred those maybe 3 or 4 times. I sold like a group of 50 of them for pretty cheap to open up some tank space. But it was a cool experience. I'm part of a fish club, but I've only gone once or twice, and I really wish I could go more, but I always work Fridays when the events are hosted. So I haven't been to one in a long time. Hopefully when work slows down, I can go to more of those, sell some fish and maybe get some breeding awards and do different species of stuff. But I'm focused on breeding for profit, so I breed maybe 3 species of fish right now in multiple color variations. And I've been sticking with that because that's what is, I think, more profitable, and I can stay focused on that. But we're gonna go ahead and feed 2 different types of food today. Sorry for the glare, you guys can see me kind of talking, but I'm using my little camera stand here, and it's helping keep the camera a little steadier, at least for this angle. But we're gonna feed, I have some guppy flake food, and I have some beef heart flake food. I buy both these foods online, usually get 2 to 5 pounds at a time, and it'll last me months. So I've had people ask me what certain things cost in my fish room. For food, I'll just say everything I buy. I buy baby brine shrimp or brine shrimp eggs, flake food, which is the guppy flake and the beef heart. I buy algae wafers, and I buy loach wafers. All those foods, the loach wafers are like $6 for a bag. They don't last that long. The algae wafers, I buy like a 5-pound bag. They're like 40 bucks. The flake foods, both of them around 40 to 60, I think, off the top of my head. And I'll buy a few pounds of that. And the eggs cost about $60, and I keep them in the fridge. They last me almost a year. So let's go backwards. The eggs are like $60, last me a year. That's $5 a month. The flake food will last me sometimes 3 or 4 months. So I'm doing quick math in my head. I don't even know this. So basically every food ends up being around $5 or less a month. So I'm spending about $20 a month in the fish room on food. And if I can sell an adult angelfish for $20 to a customer, and that's not what I sell them for, I'm just giving an example. If I sell one of these fish, that's gonna feed every single tank over here, in all these tanks on my wall, which I've done fish room tours, but I breed a lot of fish and I keep them pretty heavily stocked at times. See the rams in there? They're getting 2 to 3 feedings a day, and they're getting a lot of food. So I'm spending very little amounts of food by buying in bulk and helping it last longer. So when you're doing that, you're not using all that food in a month. So it's not like $60 in a month I'm buying on that one bag of food. It's gonna last you multiple months. And the more food you have, you're not using that one food as much, so it'll last even longer. And let's go ahead and look at this pleco while he's out. Here's the female pleco I put in here to grow out. She's adult, ready to breed now. I don't intend on breeding her, but she's ready for sale. And I have kind of a back stock if anything were to happen. She would breed within a week, I almost could guarantee, if I put her in with a male that's already guarding the cave in his tank. You can see she's got a belly on her and she's definitely mature. I know she's hiding right now. So that's like a lemon or like an albino bristlenose pleco female. So that's the last fish in there. I usually never can get her on camera, so I'm surprised she came out for us. But enough talking about the food. Let's go ahead and feed these guys. So I got both my foods here. I just have a little Tupperware container where I refill this. Maybe every week or two I'll have to take a scoop from the bag, fill it up. And here I have an old cobalt container that I use my flake food. So I crush it up a little bit just from like constantly dipping it and grabbing it, but it comes in pretty large flakes. These guys, I don't want to break it up too much. My angelfish, my discus, they're gonna get larger flakes, and then the guppies, I'm gonna take smaller pinches. I'm gonna grind that up as I feed it. So let's go ahead and do the beef heart food first, because I don't feed this as much because it's mainly for the discus and some of the angelfish and rams, but they'll eat a little bit of everything. So I buy smaller quantities of this food and it'll last me longer. But this tank is always hungry. They'll swarm for the food. Some of these fish have only been in here for maybe a week or so, not even, and they're already eating. You can see some platies is up in the corner. They'll come out and feed here shortly. But I'll just kind of show them talking. I know this video is not going to flow a whole lot, but I'm just kind of freestyling it. I'm just recording it. It's getting late, but I wanted to shoot another video. I've been posting stuff every day or two. And sometimes if I have old videos I've recorded, but I didn't know when to post them, I'll just throw them out there anyways. But let's go ahead and feed some of this guppy food. We'll go from above on this. And that food's pretty much already gone. So that was really fast. I did a small amount. But I mean, a small amount for the number of fish, but it's still a lot of food. And it's pretty much all gone. But let's go ahead and feed some of the guppy food. And you can see they're slowing down a little bit because they already ate that first pinch. But within the next minute or two, all that food will be gone. So I'm not going to do too much more. I'm going to kind of wrap this video up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me doing this series. I've got some good feedback. I don't have a crazy amount of subscribers or followers or views on my videos, but I like doing consistent videos and showing off the fish room and the different fish. Keeps me involved in my own tanks, and it really helps me keep focused on each tank. So I've been making changes ever since I started this series. I'm always kind of tweaking things in the fish room. But whenever you're looking at each tank one by one, you're not going, here's that tank in one video. If I slow down and look at one tank and I really can take a close look at it, typically I'll find things I want to improve, or fish that need to be moved or rehomed or sold or crossbred or something different. Really helps me stay up to date in my fish room. And I hope you guys appreciate the content. So I'll wrap this up. Tank number 7. I know I kind of rambled a little bit. The video may not flow that well, but you guys can get the idea. I know you understand whenever you're doing videos, or if you're trying to take a picture of your fish at home, it's really hard to do sometimes. So this one's kind of just unedited. I'm going to just go ahead and post this one. So tank number 7 of the angelfish, mollies, platies. We got our zebra danios and our solo female bristlenose pleco, eating some of the guppy flake food and the beef heart flake. They'll get different foods, but for today, for tonight, that's all they're getting. And stay tuned for my next tank. I added a lot of fish down there, and it's getting a little dirty quick because I had a lot of fish. They're ready for a water change. But tank number 8 below, that'll be in the next day or two, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching, and if you want to find any of those foods or anything I was talking about, go ahead and look in the description below. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this content, comment, let me know, and hit that like button. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.